this even be a legitimate basketball channel if I didn't give you a daily update on either the Los Angeles Lakers or the Golden State Warriors? Well, guess what, guys? Today I'm bringing you both in one video, and it pertains to the Washington Wizards. Real quick, before we get to the content, I wanted to remind you guys that my podcast, Laced Up, is giving away a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X to a subscriber that turns on our notifications on that channel. We're going to announce the giveaway winner once we get to 40,000 subscribers, and if you could take a moment to leave a like on this video, this is going to be our third video in the last 24 hours, I believe. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you happen to watch a lot of my content, make sure you're subscribed and have my notifications turned on. Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? So this past week, the Golden State Warriors came out and said stuff that we already kind of had an idea was their plan from the very get-go, and that's the fact that they are very highly motivated to package both of their lottery draft picks, the number 7 pick and the number 14 pick, to potentially increase the Golden State Warriors championship window right now, meaning that they don't really have any interest in drafting a player and developing him. They would rather do whatever it takes to give Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry the greatest opportunity to win another NBA championship, which, in my honest opinion, I think is probably the smart thing to do. As a result of this, the Warriors have been my favorite team to discuss in potential trade rumors because realistically, they probably have the most assets that they could give up for any player that they would want. Well, following this report, we actually heard another report that the Golden State Warriors Big Three are really urging the front office to do whatever it takes to make a trade for Bradley Beal, which is my favorite rumor this summer because, again, this is probably the most realistic trade target that they could pursue. Bradley Beal does have a 2-year contract, but one of those years is a player option, which means that the man can opt out at the conclusion of next season, and the Washington Wizards could potentially get nothing. Then, if you consider the fact that the Washington Wizards went ahead, hired Wes Unseld Jr. as their brand new head coach, have a plethora of young talent like Rui Hachimura, Denny Avdia, Daniel Gafford. They have some good pieces they could build around. And with Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook this year, I know there were some external factors. I know it was a pandemic offseason and that Russell Westbrook got traded fairly late in the offseason. I know there was a lot of turbulence, but despite all of this, the Washington Wizards were just simply a play-in team, which means if you have 2 all-stars on your team, then you definitely want to do whatever it takes to at least get some value or a decent or an adequate return for these superstars, because of course you don't want to get a return that is similar to what the Houston Rockets received for James Harden. If you play this scenario properly, you could have a rebuild that resembles what the Atlanta Hawks did when they were contenders during the 2014 season and the 2015 season, blew it up, was terrible throughout 2017, traded for Trae Young on draft day in 2018, and lo and behold, before you know it, they're back in the Eastern Conference Finals, facing off against their former head coach in 2021. And that's because they played that entire situation fairly intelligently. And I feel like the Washington Wizards have the exact same opportunity over here. So as a result of the information that was given to us via The Athletic yesterday, well, I feel like Bradley Beal may have heard some of this information because this next rumor that I'm bringing to you guys seems fairly plausible because it's not something that's necessarily very concrete, but I'm going to let you guys determine that for yourself. You see, according to Evan Massey and Jake L. Fisher, NBA front offices have been told that Bradley Beal is considering a trade request prior to the NBA draft next week. Now, of course, I'm going to be honest, and no offense, Jake, I hope you don't take this the wrong way. I haven't really heard of Jake L. Fisher passing off rumors or being a credible source, but this story does seem credible. It's not something that is very concrete. It's not something as far-fetched as Damian Lillard is about to demand a trade within the next next couple of hours, it's Bradley Beal is considering a trade request. And if you take a look at the context of the situation, if you were Bradley Beal, wouldn't you be at least considering a trade request? You've been on the Washington Wizards for almost 10 years. You've made a decent amount of money. You're entering your prime years. You were the second leading scorer in the NBA last year. And there have been instances like when you put up 60 points against the Philadelphia 76ers this past year and you still lost. There was a point where Sad Brad was a meme. Like, you were literally memed for how terrible your team was over this past year. And although your loyalty is admirable, there's a reason why he put himself in this situation. So he had leverage and controlled his destiny should he want to leave the Washington Wizards. Now, which is, by the way, the exact opposite of what Damian Lillard did. He, for some reason, felt really good about the city of Portland and decided to prematurely sign a contract extension. And now, as a result of it, I think he's in a very tough spot. I hope he wins, but I really don't think he put himself in the best situation to succeed should he want to leave the Portland Trail Blazers, which is why I don't really take Damian Lillard trade rumors that seriously. Now, there is an added bonus to this. If you remember my video yesterday, I told you guys that if the Washington Wizards were to trade Bradley Beal, then, and tell me if you've seen this movie before, they would probably trade Russell Westbrook as well, which is another report that doesn't really require the most profound analysis. That's kind of obvious. If you're moving from one superstar player, you might as well move on from both. You might as well take back players or picks that could contribute to your rebuild and focus on developing the other pieces on your team. I'm a very big fan of Deni Avdija and Rui Hachimura, and I really want to see what they can do with their brand new rookie head coach, Wes Unseld. This also puts significantly less pressure on Wes Unseld, who is a rookie head coach. You don't want to get a rookie head coach and say, hey, you are expected to win a championship. You're expected to make something out of Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook. So all of this is fairly consistent. Now, the part of this rumor that I don't really like, and bear in mind, this is despite me being a Los Angeles Lakers fan, and this is how you could tell whether or not people actually watch my videos, because typically I'll like Photoshop someone in a Laker jersey and in the video say why the Lakers probably can't get this player. But there's a part to this rumor from a very unknown source. Austin Krell has about like 3,500 followers on Twitter. Never heard of him. No offense, Austin. I'm sure you're a good dude, but this is my first time I'm citing you, and hopefully you're a legitimate source. But he is a 76ers writer, which kind of makes me even more skeptical. But apparently the Los Angeles Lakers have developed traction on a potential Russell Westbrook deal, which again, very strange to me. Either the market for Russell Westbrook is absolutely terrible, which could be the case. I don't necessarily think is the case, or maybe the Washington Wizards value players like Kyle Kuzma, Dennis Schroeder, Talon Horton-Tucker, and don't really like draft picks, which in my opinion doesn't seem very plausible. At least in my head, I think Russell Westbrook should at least get a better return for him. The trade that's being referred to is the Los Angeles Lakers apparently offered Kyle Kuzma, Talon Horton-Tucker, and Dennis Schroeder for Russell Westbrook, and it's at least being discussed. I don't think it's plausible. I don't think that's something that's going to happen. I don't think that the Lakers could offer enough value to make the Washington Wizards really want to accept an offer from them. I hope I'm wrong because I'm a diehard Laker fan, but it just doesn't seem reasonable to me. So I want to get your opinion on this entire situation. Do you think Bradley Beal is going to demand a trade this upcoming week? I feel like the opportunity to join the Golden State Warriors and be the missing piece in a championship run is just too great of an opportunity for Bradley Beal to miss out on. And if he were to demand a trade, he would without a doubt get traded to the Golden State Warriors, in my opinion. So I like to hear what you guys have to say. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping my mic until our next upload.